Follow me. Welcome to Car Talk. We're actually at Cars Cafe, which is the cafe right opposite the Dubai Autodrome here in Dubai. I think it's a busy day for the circuit. I see some Lamborghinis zooming around the track earlier. But I'm here today to answer some of the most frequent questions I'm asked. The most frequent of them all is, how does somebody become a supercar broker? How difficult is that? It's surprisingly easy to become a supercar broker. You can be a gardener, a doctor, a train driver, and in the evening you can be a supercar broker, hypercar broker, race car broker, or all three of those combined. This industry isn't regulated, which is good if you want to get into the business, but not so good as a consumer. Becoming a professional broker is another thing altogether. You're going to need to know a lot about cars. My passion for cars started as a child, 5 years old, maybe younger, pushing little model cars around, growing into a teenager, having photographs and posters of cars on the wall. So I'm blessed that I've been able to make a living out of buying, selling cars, brokering cars, and having cars in consignment. The key is to be a good supercar broker, and to be that, you're going to need quite a few things. You're going to need more than just passion and desire and a name calling yourself a broker. You're going to need a network of people. You're going to need a database. You're going to need some customers. You're going to need some marketing. You're going to need a database of sellers. So many things that you need to put in place before you start. The second thing you need to do is to have a lawyer, because a broker, unlike a dealership, doesn't have ownership of that car, or he doesn't have that car in his showroom. You wouldn't have that car in your showroom under consignment. So you're actually selling a car like an estate agent would sell a house. So you're going to need a lawyer to deal with your contracts, to deal with your deposits, to give the customer some safety, knowing that any money that is sent is held in escrow or held by a lawyer, and any broker's fees that you're going to expect also needs to be stored and looked after somewhere. So a good lawyer is essential. Secondly, if you're going to be an international broker, you're going to have to deal in different currencies: euros, dollars, pounds, yen, whatever it may be. So you're going to need to have a forex, a company that can manage and deal with your foreign exchange. So you're going to need that in place. I'm quite fortunate that I started my business over 40 years ago, long before the internet. So I used to gather a list of all the cars that were for sale, in mainly Ferraris, in Ferrari dealerships, specialist dealerships, looking through the Times, looking through different adverts and compiling a big database of cars. I soon become the person, if you were looking for a Ferrari in England, then I was the person you could come to find that car. I would make a bit of commission from the seller and a bit of commission from the buyer. So that's how I started. When the internet came in the early 80s, then that enabled me to grow my business outside of the UK and become an international broker. Now I service 21 Ferrari VVIPs who trust me and my company to handle the sale of their very confidential Ferrari VIP cars. This needs a really good contract, because when you're selling a build slot allocation, as most of these VIP cars are sold, then we got to keep that information away from Ferrari, because Ferrari will blacklist any speculator, even if you are a VIP. So they'll also blacklist the car. The buyer would also need some protection. He needs to know that if he pays this money, often over $1 million in deposits and reimbursements, that's before the price of the car, then he needs to know that his money is safe. And that's where we come back to having a good lawyer and being able to manage that money by holding this money in escrow and having a contract an agreement between the buyer and seller that protects them both. As a buyer that's thinking about buying the car from a broker, he needs to be careful. He needs to know that he's dealing with a reputable broker, somebody that knows his business, someone who can protect his interest. The first things to look out for from what I call a bedroom broker is his social media or her social media, and just see what content that's actually on their website, on their social media. Are there any photographs of them or videos of them handing over a car? Or are they just stolen pictures that they found off the internet, never seeing the person that you're dealing with actually inside a hypercar or a supercar, or even handing over the delivery of a car? All these things are what a buyer is looking out for. If you're a buyer and you get a list of maybe 100 cars that some broker has got from other brokers and compiled a great big list of all sorts of different cars, from vintage to build slot allocations and everything else in between, that is the first red flag, because it's impossible for somebody to travel around the world and literally put their hand on every car and have a mandate to sell these cars from the owners. It's likely that it ended up in a broker chain where other brokers are selling their cars. But of course, a broker chain is only as strong as the weakest link. So we have to be very careful. Here at Knight International, we don't get involved in broker chains. As a new broker, I would avoid using other brokers' cars. You're as strong as their weakest link, and there are too many horror stories, especially if they're bedroom brokers. You'll be better off investing your time, and if you're passionate about cars, you'd want to use this time to go to car shows, go to cars like Pebble Beach, go to places like Goodwood Festival of Speed, places where you can get up close and speak to people that own these cars. Everybody that owns these cars own them because they're passionate and they love them. So talking about them is something they're very happy to do. And to discuss with him about the car, let that person who owns those cars at these events know how passionate you are. Be honest and say that you're new and you want to get into this business, and is there any cars in your collection you're thinking of selling? Was there any cars that you're thinking of buying? And then see what you can do and build up an honest database. That one of the other events that I did that turned out to be a great opportunity for me was when I went to the Melbourne Grand Prix in Australia. I took some pictures of a Brabham BT62 there and posted it on my LinkedIn. The following day, I got a call from the marketing director of Brabham and saying if I was still in Australia, would I like to come to the Brabham factory in Adelaide and consider being a sales ambassador for Brabham. I did that the following day. I went to Adelaide, and to cut a long story short, I became a sales ambassador for Brabham. So we then took the Brabham BT62 to the Monaco Grand Prix. I was already attending a luxury yacht party overlooking the circuit and the Grand Prix. So we put the Brabham into the foyer of the Fairmont Hotel. I did have difficulty getting in and out of this car, to be honest, but I brought around 50 people and spoke about the Brabham, and we quickly sold one to a New Zealand guy, someone similar to my age. That opportunity only came about because I went to the Grand Prix and documenting my passion for cars and posting it on my social media. So today we are sales ambassador for Brabham. Another opportunity was the Geneva Motor Show. I've lost count how many times I've been to this show, and fortunate enough to meet one of my heroes, which is Sergio Pininfarina. When I'm asked what's my favourite car, it's always Ferrari, and Pininfarina Ferraris at that. the finest coach builders of all time, in my opinion. Sadly, when Sergio Pininfarina passed away at his home peacefully in Turin, I spoke to Paolo Pininfarina, Sergio's son, and said I would like to do a tribute to your father Sergio in England. He quickly accepted my offer to host an event in the good name of Sergio Pininfarina. We hired Hurtwood Polo Park, and I sponsored a polo match in the name of Sergio Pininfarina. We invited people that owned these cars, these Pininfarina cars. Over 300 Pininfarina cars turned up. Well, their drivers obviously brought their cars. Yeah, it was a fantastic event. And what a lot of people don't know, that Paolo Pininfarina is a really good drummer. And so we got him up on stage because we hired a big stadium for Kenneth Jones, who used to be in the Faces, the owner of the Polo Park. So he had a new band. He's a drummer. Paolo Pininfarina, a drummer. So he was playing drums. And on the side of the Polo Park, on the edge there, was Eric Clapton's home. So we went and see Eric Clapton, and we borrowed his one-of-one Pininfarina. Unfortunately, he couldn't attend the weekend. He was doing a gig in Germany, I believe. But his ex-wife and his car came along. This created a great opportunity for my company, Knight International, because we not only did this worthy tribute for Paolo Pininfarina, tribute to his father, but we had chatting with all of these Pininfarina owners. Paolo Pininfarina as a company made a special car called the Sergio. 6 were built, one for every decade that Sergio Pininfarina made cars for Ferrari. They revealed that car for the first time in England at my event. They brought it all the way from Italy to my event at Hurtwood Park Polo Club, and me and Paolo revealed this car for the first time. And a sensational looking car. I don't know if you've seen it. I will put pictures up so you can see. My point is, if you're passionate about cars and you go to these events and you're networking, I had no intention of funding this event to make money. I did it as a genuine tribute to Sergio Pininfarina, and their business just came my way. I think I covered most of the good, the bad and the ugly of becoming a supercar broker. But feel free to drop us a line in the comments below. Ask me some questions, I'll be happy to reply to you. But for now, thank you for watching, and we look forward to seeing you in the next episode of Car Talk.